testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try and become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
How did you, Skip?
I'm all right. I'm a little tired today. I've been, so I don't drink coffee, but I do need caffeine. So like my drug of choice is diet soda. And I've been doing good about so I have lunch with a friend of mine on Mondays, and Jess and I are starting to do Taco Tuesdays.
Okay.
Because we went to Little Mexico today because they have Taco Tuesday.
Oh,
and,
knife in my heart. A knife in my heart. I missed that place.
I knew it would be. I knew. Yeah, and they've got tacos for 57 crowns, which is, nice. I guess, if you're from the U.S., it's $2.50 or something like that. Yeah, so we get some tacos and stuff like that. But whenever I go out to eat, I don't get my soda. And I usually don't drink any caffeine after 2 because of my insomnia.
Yeah.
But I just made some at home with the soda stream because I was like, man, I'm so tired. What's going on? And then I was like, oh, I haven't had caffeine today. So I'm picking up. My energy's picking up now. But I have a real hard time giving up it's a serious addiction, and I drink so much. I know it's got to be just eating away my insides, but I have a real hard time kicking that diet soda, man.
And you just don't like coffee?
No, I never learned to like it. Coffee's not something I don't think anybody starts off loving coffee, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. I love it now though. It's like cigarettes. You don't start off being like, I love this.
Right.
You end up loving it. But
yeah, I don't know. I tried it once when I was 7 because I was I saw all the adults, drinking it, and I was like, Grandma, I want some coffee. And she's like, you're not gonna like this. And I was like, I want to try it. She's like, you're not gonna like this. And so I had a sip and I was like, that is terrible. And I just never picked it back up again. Plus my parents are super addicted to coffee. They can't do anything if they haven't had their coffee.
Yeah. That's what happens to me too. I'm like, why do I have a headache? Or why? The headache is a clear indication of withdrawal. But why am I so sluggish? Well, yeah, I haven't had caffeine. But I wanted to say I don't want to wind off into too many paths. But when you were talking about drinking coffee when you were a kid, you reminded me of when I was 15 or 16. Must have been about 16. I remember being in a field with some friends, and we would manage to procure beer. And we would be drinking all manner of beer, Bud Light, or the cheap kind. And
Natty Ice.
Yeah. And none of us liked it. And none of us would admit it, but none of us liked it. It was just
terrible.
The grossest thing.
Yeah.
It was the grossest thing you'd ever had. And we were like, oh, and we would all drink it and we'd get drunk, but none of us liked it. And I remember a couple of years after that, I just I didn't drink any for a while. I switched to vodka or whatever. And maybe a few years after that, having it again, and my taste buds changed. I don't know if it was just the maturity or time or what, but I was like, this is delicious. And I got a taste for beer after that. And I really, really enjoyed it after that. But when I was younger, I was like, this is horrible. And it was such a chore to drink it down to get drunk. And, but we all did it.
No, yeah, I had kind of a similar, I didn't drink at all until I was 20. So I was a real late starter, but yeah, I had to learn to like beer, but I had a cap of scotch when I was in high school, just a little taste just to see what it tasted like with a friend. And it was the worst. It was the worst. And now it's my favorite drink. I always have a bottle of scotch in the house.
Isn't that funny? I remember being 12 and finding this old bottle of bourbon that my dad had for whatever reason. And my friend, the one I mentioned before, Craig, and I, we snuck it up into the attic and we took little shots of it. We were way too young, obviously. Or maybe we weren't 12, maybe 13, 14, but we were young. And it was the grossest thing ever. And so for years and years, I was like, I hate bourbon. I can't drink bourbon. It makes me sick and I hate it. And then I had some in Prague we were making eggnog or something, and I had it straight. And I'm like, this is the most fabulous drink I've ever had in my life. This is so good. But yeah, you just change, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know so just on, as we're going on this, a positive kind of male thing. Like, what do you think? And of course, if you drink other things, if you drink a Cosmo, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Sure.
Cosmos are tasty. But what do you think is the most manly drink?
I think something straight, and and maybe that's just stereotypical, but like I don't do mixed drinks because I don't know them. It's not because I'm like, oh, I'm too masculine for that. I wouldn't know what to order for a mixed drink.
Sure.
But I've really, really enjoyed like a good silver tequila, like a chilled silver tequila with like lime straight. It's like delicious. Or like a really good vodka. And I don't mean like the kind here in the North America, but like anything in the Czech Republic, a lot of the homemade stuff. Like I've had the lowest shelf vodka there and I'm just like, this is really good.
Oh man.
So yeah, like I feel like a good hard liquor, chilled or not, depending on what it is, straight. I think that's a pretty manly drink. But what about you?
Yeah. Well, like when you said vodka, so I don't know if I've ever had a really good vodka. I probably have not. But just when you said that, like my stomach started to turn because everybody's had that one drink that like just wrecked you and that you just can't even think about anymore. And that's vodka for me. Although like I did years later, like I'll flavor a vodka and drink it. Like I'd make jalapeno vodka and enjoy that.
Okay, yeah.
Where you just put jalapeno in the vodka and
let it steep in there,
and let it steep in there for a while. That's pretty nice. Vodka's good for stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I think what you were saying, where it's just like a neat drink. I mean, I'm very partial to Scotch, but I think like brandy or cognac or whiskey or whatever. Those all sound pretty manly.
Yeah. Well, it tastes good though too. It's not just like I'm going for a look. Like I've legitimately enjoy a good straight liquor.
But I will say behind Scotch, my favorite drink. I mean, it's not like a very foofy mixed drink, but a gin and tonic is something that Jess and I will share on a hot day or after a hard day. And I have a hard time. Those are so nice. They're so tasty. I have a hard time like putting them down. I want to be like, I'm going to go make another one of these. They're like adult soda. It's
yeah.
So good.
Yeah. A few years ago, Jody and I got into like a little kick where we had a couple of liquors. I mean, I don't really drink anymore at all. Occasionally I'll have like a beer maybe, or a glass of wine or something, and that's actually a good red wine is kind of my drink of choice if I'm gonna have alcohol at all. But anyway, we got off on a kick where we had just a bunch of different things where we started mixing drinks just like at home. You know, we'd have a drink after dinner or before dinner or whatever, and it was just like I don't know, it was fun. It was fun to do. It was kind of like going out, but not really, and just having a tasty drink that if you didn't want something stiff, you just have something sweet or just like an interesting palate,
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I don't really drink anymore. I don't tend to drink. Like I'll have right now because of my sciatica, I'm on pain meds, so I had one beer when my friend came to visit and just forgoed the pill that night. But in months. But yeah, when I'm not being medicated, I'll have like a drink a week maybe. But then it's always like if it tastes really good, it can always turn into like 3 or 4 drinks, but really, really easily. But usually it's just one. But it's like, oh man, this tastes really good tonight sometimes.
I remember I made a joke about myself. This was years ago where I had like resolved myself to having a glass of red wine every night, like a small glass for my heart or whatever. We know that it's probably not even true that that's like was good for your system.
Those have all been kind of debunked.
Yeah. But back in the day, that was kind of like the thought. It's kind of like a cigarette. One cigarette a day is good for your lungs.
They used to prescribe it.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was like, I'm going to have one small glass of wine, per night, just, for my system. And that one turned into a larger one, and then it turned into 2, and then it turned into like 3. I'm like, oh, I've accidentally become a wino with my little prescription of one glass a night.
I had a Czech girlfriend when I first got here, and she was 10 years older than me. So I was, in my late 20s and she was in her late 30s. So she grew up under communism, and she was telling me in her broken English, because she didn't speak English when we started dating, which was interesting because I didn't speak Czech. So it was all the language of love. So she was telling me at one point like that her dentist under the old communist Czech system had said that better than brushing your teeth sometimes was having like a shot of slivovica, which is like the plum brandy. And then her doctor had told her, because she sometimes was dizzy in the morning or something, to have a shot of alcohol before she got out of bed. And she was like, so between my dentist and my doctor, I will be an alcoholic. And that's if you haven't been here, or even if you're recent to the I guess the former Eastern Bloc, that's the old communist medicine. Well, Carlos, it's that part of the show. Are you ready to fall in love?
I'm ready, Skip.
All right. We are continuing with question 26 from the 10-year-old New York Times article, 36 Questions to Fall in Love. Question number 26 is, again, not a question, just like last week. It's complete this sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share. Finish that sentence.
Okay, so I'm going to adjust the question, or the statement rather, and you don't have to do that, of course.
All right.
Rather than it's related. Rather than I wish there was someone with whom I could share, I'd say I wish there was a second me. And that might just be pure ego, but to have a second me would be to have another person who understands me completely and with whom I can share ideas with whom could do things that I can't do but need to do or want to do. In addition to all the crap that I'm up to now. So yeah, I wish there was another me with whom I can share my tasks and life and ideas and things like that with. So that's probably the most narcissistic thing I've ever said on this show. But that's how I feel, Skip.
I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation that Jess and I have relatively frequently.
Really?
Like we wish there was another one of either one of us, just because you'd be able to get so much more done and things like that. And I don't know, it does sound awfully nice sometimes. Although you also run the risk of just hating yourself. Like
that's true. Yeah, you have your worst enemies too. I will say that when you mentioned that you and Jess talk about it, like that's wonderful that you guys can agree to that, because if it came down to Jody and I, if it was like, okay, there can be two of one of you, but not both of you. If it was like Jody or nothing, I would say maybe nothing, because having two Jodys, that'd be a lot I'd be up against, because Jody is a lot like her father, and when those two are together, it's like two against one. Not like in an ugly way, but like I'm outvoted for stuff. I'm like, okay, well, you guys have clearly made up your mind, and I'm getting talked down between the two of you, because she's a pretty like quiet character. But between her and her father, who's not a quiet character, it's like I've lost the boat. So having two Jodys, I think, would be like having her and her father around all the time, and I think I would lose a lot of things, whether there were contests or not.
That's funny. That's funny.
So okay, well, back to you then. Who is you wish you had someone with whom you could?
Well, I wish I had someone with whom I could share, and I already kind of have this, because I'm going to say with whom I could share a project. So I have that with you, but I want more. And I want something. So this is really fun, and I love doing this, and it is a project, but I have more free time, and I'd like to do that, the thing that the guy from Movember talked about, which was the men's shed. I want to work side by side with a dude on something like woodworking or something. I just feel like some of the nicer times in my life, whether it was business or whatever, I've enjoyed meeting with people and working on projects, and that's fun. And I don't have I'll meet with people now, but I don't have a lot of things that I'm working on other than this, which is really nice. But it almost makes me it doesn't make the rest of the time bitter or anything like that. I really enjoy this, but it definitely shines a light on this time that I really enjoy. And it's it'd be nice to have something else. It'd be nice to whether it was going to the gym with somebody or whatever, those just stuff to do with people.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
We had talked about this before, early in the podcast. But yeah, when we met, you were very much socially plugged in a way that Jody and I got there too, because we were juggling a bunch of things as well socially, and we've way tapered off that, especially out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember you were really connected. Have you thought about one of the things we were doing was we were working with the TEFL program that we had both got our certificates from, and we were taking their graduates out to a weekly pub, not pub crawls, but we'd set up go to a restaurant or whatever, and there'd be 25, 30 expats all there that we had organized. it was fun. It was work, but it was fun. And we got to meet a ton of people. And anyway, have you thought about doing anything like that? I mean, it doesn't have to be, because I think all the expats are like in their early 20s and stuff, but you could maybe do something a little more age.
Yeah, I don't want to be like the old codger, but yeah, the groups that I know how to like reach, like that I have access to through TEFL or something like that. Yeah, they're very young.
Yeah.
They're very young and they're interested in doing things that I was interested in doing when I was younger, like going out and drinking and stuff like that. But I really want like homebodies that are hard to coax out of the house. Those are the ones that I want. So I don't know. The tendrils are creeping. They just creep slowly. But yeah, it's happening. I'm connecting with more people. I'm gonna go to the gym with a lady from the Derby team tomorrow. But it's a slow process. It's a slow process for us introverts trying to reach out.
Well, it requires some effort. You know, you gotta want it, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't always want it. Like, you know what? I'm usually fine like in my cave, and I don't need like we talked about it before. But like COVID, I was perfectly fine with COVID.
Oh
I was on 15 acres alone.
I was thriving. Yeah.
Nobody was asking me to go places. Like nobody was coming around. Like I was fine. But yeah, people had a real hard time with that. The social people had a really hard time with that.
No, I had a good time, and like I'm mostly fine on my own, but I do kind of long for like a project. I want to like a thing that I'm doing, you know, a purpose. And I don't like I go to the gym and stuff, and that's, you know, purposeful, but there's not like an end goal to it, you know. It's like just keeping this old bag of bones moving.
Yeah, even when I think of like when I go to the gym, which is rare these days, when I think of like how I want to look and how I want to be, even that doesn't really motivate me as much anymore as it used to.
Well, Carlos, I think you look great.
Thanks, Skip. That's fine. All right, Skip. Well, I have a question for you. Have you ever? Well, there's no good way of asking this, but have you ever been groped unwillingly by somebody?
Yes. Not.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to laugh at that. I just wasn't expecting you to say yes.
Yeah, not often, but it's happened once or twice. I mean, it was, you know, like it's kind of a weird groped unwillingly. Not like I didn't like, you know, put my butt out there to be grabbed, but but yeah, I have been groped unwillingly, or at least unsuspectingly. I guess unwillingly as well. It wasn't as big of a deal for me at the time, I think, but as it is for many people because they deal with it regularly.
Definitely.
And there's a bodily autonomy thing. But yeah, I've definitely been grabbed. You know, usually it's like a butt. Or in high school, I had some girls come up and pat my chest. Like that I didn't know. They were like, because I worked out and I was in wrestling and stuff. And I don't even remember exactly what they said, but it was people that I didn't know that came up and just like sort of said something and patted my chest and then walked off. And I was like, that was weird.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I have as well. And it was almost solely in the Czech Republic, actually, in Prague. A couple times on the dance floor, I've had my butt grabbed, and I've been grinded into where I was like just walking past and got like pinned against the wall. And once in the sub, this is probably the creepiest one. I was in the subway, or I was in the metro, and I was on a train, a crowded train, and a woman came in, you know, and stood in front of me, and we got pressed into each other. And she started like grinding on me, and I was like, "What's happening? Like this is." It was like, I mean, like you, man. Every time I've been grabbed or whatever, it wasn't like traumatic for me. It wasn't a big deal. I don't care. It was actually funny now. But again, like it wasn't fearful for me. It probably wasn't fearful for you. It doesn't happen on a daily basis or often. So yeah, but like, yeah, the train one was like, oh, that was like a deviant. The other ones, I think they were just being playful, but this girl was like, yeah. I ask you these questions because I don't know if you heard, and I believe you did, the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, had a incident in her travels down there.
Well, had an incident a little. It would attribute some control to her. She was incidented, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, she was talking to a group of supporters, correct? And I think there was even press there, and a guy came up and tried to kiss her and groped her. And yeah, wild.
Did you see the video? There's a video of it.
I did not see the video.
So the first article that I read was from the BBC, and well, first of all, she's pressing charges against him.
Yeah.
He was apprehended like right away, and she's pressing charges because, and she cited specifically like, well, what kind of role model would I be to allow this to happen and let this man get away with doing this thing? Because I'm the president, and if this could happen to the president, what's happening in the streets of Mexico for your average woman, you know?
Right.
But the first article that I read, I don't know, man. It really didn't express the urgency of what happened, because when I watched the video, yeah, he like full on. He doesn't like, I don't know. He tries to kiss her in the neck. She doesn't know he's there. He just he puts his arm around her and like leans in to kiss her neck, and she kind of moves away. And at the same time, he reaches under her arms and puts both of his hands on her breasts. Like
oh wow,
he like full on grabs her, and he gets pulled away, not violently, but he gets like kind of scooted away right away. And the man, I mean, just visually looking at his face, I'm using like a prejudice of experience. He looked like somebody who had some mental issues. I don't know. There was just something in his stare that didn't look
okay.
That there was something going on there. But I mean, either way, I'm not excusing his behavior, because there's plenty of men that are doing just fine. He looked clean cut. He had a nice haircut. Like, he seemed okay. But yeah, that's it was pretty startling to see like how close he got to her and then what he actually did.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's like a couple conversations that I saw happening in the media about this, and one of them was about like the safety for Mexican officials. You know, like that something like that could happen in America, but it's unlikely to. I mean, I guess if you weren't the president, it'd be more likely, because people have access, and like we had, you know, representatives shot in their own home just 4 months ago. Like, one of the bigger things I think is she's one of the most powerful women in the country, if not the most powerful woman in the country, and, you know, a world leader. And this can happen to her. And like, for some reason, this guy felt entitled to do this, or like it was going to be okay to do this and like you said that he looked a little off or whatever, but it's not uncommon for other guys to do this. And I just wonder like what's going through their heads, if they think they're being cute or cheeky, or if they think it's funny, or what the deal is. What do you think about that?
Well, I've questioned, and again, I'm not excusing his behavior, but I've questioned like, was he drunk? And that emboldened him to do something like that, which is a whole other conversation too. Like, why would a man, sober or drunk, why would a man feel like he can do that? And men in the U.S. and Canada and the Czech Republic, I mean, men feel that way. They feel like it's there's not going to be a consequence to groping a stranger or even a person they're familiar with. They think it's fine. And I've met women who knew the guy they grabbed them. And they thought it was, and I mean, like grab them in the crotch, that sort of thing. And they were like, "What have you lost your mind?" They think that it's fine.
Famously, we have a president that said he did that before he got elected, and he got elected. Yeah. So clearly, there's with his celebrity, he's in. I mean, not just that. Like that's tied into being a male as well. Yeah. Like I'm a male. I'm a celebrity. I'm rich. Yeah. I can do this thing. Yeah, I'm entitled to do this thing. And obviously it was not a deal breaker for the American public. So I think back before that happened with any other politician, it would have been over. They would have been.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For sure. And things have changed so much. I mean, so many things have gone under the bridge at this point. It would be silly to like say, well, that was the one thing. There's so many. But like just focusing in on that and looking at people being okay with that. And voting for that, like that says a lot about, you know, our country and what we're okay with. And speaking of, you know, what Claudia Sheinbaum, the Mexican president, is doing now, like she's setting the opposite precedent and saying this isn't okay, as opposed to, you know, promoting it, essentially. But, you know, like, so it's good to see, and it's sad that we're seeing it happen at all. But it's also sad that we're seeing it happen in another country rather than our own, the people standing up about it.
Well, and what an embarrassing, humiliating moment, too, for someone she's not just the president. I don't know if she has her PhD or not, but she is a She's an educated, very intelligent woman who is the president, for God's sake. Like I can't fathom what this person was thinking of when he thought that it'd be okay to do. And I don't want to go back to I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Donald Trump, but one of the ways he squeaked out of like any accountability for that statement was, this was locker room talk.
Yeah.
It was locker room talk. And people were like, well, like women would defend that too. They're like, oh, it was just boys being boys, in the locker room sort of thing. Well, one, it wasn't in a locker room. It was out in public and it was on he was being recorded. I don't know if he knew he was being recorded or not, but like either way, I mean, okay, so it's locker room talk, but it's still misogynistic, aggressive, rapey. Like, I mean, where's the line? Where's the line with locker room talk? You know what I mean? Like,
have you ever engaged in locker room talk like that? Because I've never engaged in locker room talk like that.
I have never engaged. I've been like a stinker with talking about girls and stuff, but like as a fucking teenager, man, as an immature kid. But I've never talked about like assaulting a woman like that. Never.
Right.
No, that's not a thing. But I mean, I've talked about girls and stuff and like sex and stuff with other boys. But to talk about grabbing a woman and being proud of the fact that she's not going to do anything about it, and where she's going to let you because of what you can do for her. I mean, that is. I don't know how he got away with that. I don't know how he got away with that. But I mean, as a greater point, though, there's no amount of locker room talk that makes that okay. Like you can't talk about doing that to somebody. I mean, and if so, why not talk about lynching people? It's just a couple of white guys talking locker room talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like why not dismiss that as well? Because it's just a couple of white guys talking about it.
There's nothing fucking magical about a locker room. It doesn't make things not shitty. Like if you're being shitty, you're being shitty. And like I've lived my whole life and I've been a dude and I've like talked about women's bodies and things like that with men. But I've and engaged in, I guess, what you would call locker room talk. But it was never about lack of consent or taking liberties with women. It was, more about the joy of the feminine body and sex acts and things like that. Right. But it wasn't like anything that was nefarious or malevolent. And that's what these things are. And I think I don't know if people are thinking about it, but she is, like you said, a powerful and educated woman, which it wouldn't matter if she wasn't. It shouldn't happen.
Sure. Yeah.
But like he took away her choice twice. He took away her choice about what happened to her body. Mm-hmm. And then he took away her choice about what to do about it because she really didn't have a choice about how to deal with this because it was on camera and she's the president. Like, what was she going to do? Walk away if she didn't feel like dealing with it? She doesn't get that option because of her position. And like, it's, having been around and been with women that have been assaulted and things like that. Some of them, whether you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. It's their choice. Some of them decide they don't want to deal with this and they don't want to put it out there. And like, that's a choice they get to make after a choice was taken away from them about something else. So this guy's really, he did something to her and then he put her in a corner about her future actions, which is just like twice over fucked,
Yeah, they're calling it Mexico's potential Me Too movement. You know what I mean? And fantastic because there's a lot of that. Well, there's a lot of that in most cultures, I think, where men are play the
all over the world.
Yeah. And I was talking to Jody about it. She had posed the question of like, well, if this had been a male president, like would somebody have been able to get that close? I mean, arguably possible. I mean, like Ronald Reagan was shot at like point blank range. Like there was a guy right there with a gun. But in this case, I think she was making a stop off schedule, so her security wasn't as thick as it would have been otherwise.
Right.
So I don't think it was necessarily that like, it was lax because she was a woman sort of thing. It was just because of it was an unplanned stop, and that's what happened. Because I think that the people that pulled him away weren't her security. I think they were her supporters, the people that were there that she was speaking to. That's what I gathered.
Part of her team, it said, yeah.
Was it? Okay.
But I mean, yeah, so it's a crime of opportunity, but like it is a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime to grope someone when they don't want you to. I don't know. I always sit back and look at these things and just like, what? Because I always deal with things kind of in a psychological way. Like, what is going on in the head of this guy that he feels like safe doing this? Like he doesn't feel like he's in danger. He's not putting himself. He obviously felt okay. Like this was a fine decision to make. And, maybe he makes a lot of bad decisions, but that doesn't, there's still like, I don't know. I struggle to put it into words, but like every day we walk along streets and there's cars and we feel very safe that those cars are not just going to veer off the road and kill us. And they totally could. You could be killed every day 1,000 times so easily. It would be so easily for someone to murder you every day. We trust people so emphatically. There's just like, and it never happens. Like, I mean, maybe once in a while, but like it never happens that people just run off the road and fucking kill people for no reason. This guy and lots of guys around, and there's plenty of guys that don't, but there's lots of guys that just feel okay doing this. And like, there's a social contract that they're violating, that we need to feel safe with other people around. And like this, when people don't understand why women are retreating from dating and all the other things about feminism, and it's like, they have to deal with this constantly. Like constantly, even if this isn't happening to them, even as the president of a country, it can happen and you have to be aware, and it's always hanging out there. I don't ever feel like this is going to happen to me. I'm never worried about somebody coming up and grabbing my junk.
Well, as we said before, and when it does happen, it's not really, at least in my case, it hasn't been traumatic. No one's ever grabbed my junk, but they grabbed my ass and I've been like, I've been wrangled. And it is not traumatic. It's like a funny story for me now. You know what I mean? But like, this is not a funny story for the majority of women who this happens to. You know what I mean? They don't reminisce like, oh, remember that time that guy grabbed me? That's not funny. It happens to them, and it happens to their friends. It happens to their siblings and their mothers. It happens. It's just not a part of our lives as men.
Well, and as men, it shouldn't just be Claudia Sheinbaum's job to stand up and make this okay. Like, if you see people doing this shit. And this is one of the problems I've had for a long time with society is there is this social contract. But part of the social contract isn't just like living well in society. It's when you see people breaking that contract, you have to enforce it. And we are so not okay with confrontation. And it's not fun. Confrontation sucks. But part of the reason why we get to places like these is because people get away with it so often. They feel like it's going to be okay. They feel like they're going to get away with this. And to the point where they do it enough that they don't even feel like they're getting away with it. They feel like this is something they get to do. And
it's normal. It's a normal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like a sexual advance. Well, it is a sexual advance, but it's like the most base form of it. It's like, you know what? Rather than like wooing this person, I'm just going to go over there and like waggle my dick at them and they're going to want to have sex with me. Like that's what that is.
Yeah, exactly. So as a dude, if you see something like this happen, say something, because I guarantee you these guys are fucking cowards.
Oh, for sure.
They'll try and puff up for a second, but they will run away because they know they're wrong. And if you say something, God, I hope that somebody else is there to back you up. I mean, like I would hope that somebody. I mean, at least the woman surely will back you up. I don't know that she's going to do much, but she's going to be on your side. And like, sometimes you've got to step in and be a good person that is a good Samaritan and counteracts that bad Samaritan. I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people that are really uncomfortable with stuff like this, but I really do think that it's important to, if you see something, say something. Like this is sort of low-level terrorism that happens all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And I think, going back to, even though I said I didn't want to, the whole locker room talk thing, like shit like that was what makes this incident happen. You know what I mean? Like, well, this is how men are, and this is how men think, and this is we did it in this safe space with this chat in the safe space, and that's just normal. This is a normal way of being, and this is the result where you can go and attack a president essentially, and think it's fine because it's the locker room mentality,
And there are women that defend this too, and I honestly I feel extremely sad for those women that they are around men that they think so low of, that this is how they naturally are. All men are naturally like this. They all engage in this kind of stuff. They all, how are you going to ruin somebody's future because they did objectively terrible things or said objectively terrible things? They're a man, they can't control themselves. Like, yes, they fucking can. And I very, very much am very sorry that you have not had the experience with men that they know how to control themselves, because
Right.
it's just, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of hormones going on in our body, just like everybody else, but like, you can deal with it. Higher brain functions, you know?
Right. It's a sad turn of events. This happened 6 days ago, it looks like, something like that. I don't know any updates that have gone on, but yeah, there you go. President of Mexico being groped by a man.
Let me ask you. So proof is in the pudding or whatever. Have you ever stepped up in public when you've seen something wrong going down, whether it be a groping or whatever?
I definitely have. The first one that popped in my head was years and years and years ago. I was in Vancouver, actually, in British Columbia, and I saw a man really aggressively like shouting at two women. And I think at the time, I think I realized this then. I think it was like a pimp prostitute situation. And I walked over there I was 20. I walked over there with my Canadian friend. He was backing me up. He didn't say anything either, but he was like, behind me. And I don't remember what he said anymore. It was so long ago, but I intervened. He wasn't hitting them or anything or like dragging him around, but he was aggressive. And I don't know what he was doing, but we got his attention. And the anger and the hatred and the violence in his eyes turned right on us. And I was the one talking, so he was facing me. And then the women turned right away. We're like, it's okay. And they were like, shush. They were trying to scoop me away from the situation. So it seemed to like de-escalate. And so we just kind of let it go. But like, yeah, that was one. There was, they seemed to be familiar with his behavior. And I think they were more concerned with me not getting shot or stabbed or whatever he was capable of. They seemed like they could handle it, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember how that resolved. We kind of let it go. What were you saying?
Even so, it sounds like you de-escalated it.
Yeah. It stopped.
Good thing, you know?
But I'm trying to think of a more recent example. Surely something's come up. Yeah, there was one guy. This was not as recent either. This was probably 15 years ago or so. Maybe more. I was at like a Chili's restaurant with my friend, and I don't know what happened. There was a commotion outside, and like the whole restaurant like got up and went outside, and there was a guy like knocking his wife around. He was really drunk, and it was really interesting because like this guy like deserved an ass whooping for what was going on.
Yeah.
But like nobody put their hands on him. Well, yes, kind of, but they kind of scooted the woman into the restaurant, and there had to have been about 20 people, not men and women. They were just like clogging the doorway, and the guy was trying to get into the restaurant to get her. He wasn't like swinging or like, but he was like, "That's my wife," and he was trying to get past everyone.
Yeah.
They were like keeping him out without like hitting him or hurting him. And then finally, it was just kind of like action by blockage. You know what I mean? People just got on the way of him, and they couldn't get to him. There's a lot of people doing it. And finally, like somebody in the wait staff like kind of grabbed the guy by around the neck and like took him to the ground. And he was a smaller guy, the guy that was being aggressive, and that was it. He was kind of squirming around. No fists were swung, but it was nice to see like so many people intervene. You know what I mean? And I don't remember what happened. I think the police were called or something, but I don't remember what happened. But again, she seemed like it was not out of the ordinary for their relationship. Right. She didn't seem upset. She seemed, she was scowling, but she didn't seem like this was something that she hadn't encountered before. What about you? Have you intervened on anyone's behalf in the past or recently?
Yeah. But like in that situation that you were just describing, probably, or like there's a good possibility if whoever hadn't gotten up first didn't get up, a lot of people would have remained seated.
Probably, yeah.
That's the thing, is like people know, but they're afraid or they're uncomfortable. And like, be the one out there that does the right thing. Gosh, hopefully people back you up. But if not, at least you will have done the right thing. Yeah, no, when I first got to the Czech Republic, it was actually during my TEFL course. So it was in the first couple weeks that I was here. It wasn't a groping situation, but I remember, I was taking a tram back to my place, and there was a woman that was sleeping with her arms. She was like sleeping. Her backpack was in her lap, and she was like had her arms around it and her head down on it. And there was like these three guys that were like slowly moving her arms, like they were clearly going to steal her backpack. And, they were kind of like, I don't know what was going on with her. She was like out, and like they had moved her back and they'd moved her arms, and And in the country 2 weeks, I just kind of stood up and I went over and I just said no. Because I didn't have any other words, you know?
Right.
And like there were 3 dudes
Yeah.
and I didn't know anything about them. And in the US, I would have been afraid I could have gotten shot or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I was in danger here. It was a brand new place. You know, they all sort of looked ashamed and like walked away. And, you know, I don't know what happened with that woman the rest of the night, but like for a while she was okay, you know, because like those guys, it was like, oh, they were like ashamed. You know, I don't know if they were truly ashamed, but it was like, you got us. Sorry. Yeah. We shouldn't be doing this. And they just gave up and walked away. It was a weird experience because I expected there to be kind of like a thing, but there just wasn't. They just kind of were like, oh yeah, shit, you got us. Okay, bye.
I found that there's not a lot of confrontational behavior among young men anyway in the Czech Republic. I mean, there can be, of course, but like I find that a lot of them aren't. They're not looking for a fight generally. At least it used to be.
No, I agree. I think it was one of the things that caught me most off guard when I got here was just like, if you catch people doing something and you say something, they'll just be like, oh, shucks, you caught me. All right, here you go. Bye.
Yeah.
It's very much like kind of like a cops and robbers game when you're kids. Like, oh, yeah, I'm the bad guy. All right. But they're not like going to stick to their guns or fight you for it. It was an interesting shift. Yeah.
A very different response here in these United States and Canada even.
Yeah.
A little less aggressive in Canada, but still there.
So, Carlos, I have a random question that I thought of earlier that I know my answer to, but I was curious what your answer would be. Is there like a quality, like a specific quality that you admire the most in other people? Like something that they have that when you see that in other people, you're like, man, that's really nice, you know?
Yes, I do. Right away, I have it. And I don't have this characteristic, and I would like to have it, but I don't. And I don't know how much it comes across. Well, let me just say it. Okay, first, I don't know how much it comes across to anybody listening to this who doesn't really know me, but like, I don't have this quality, and I would like it. So an aspect of a personality that I wish that I had, I wish I was a little more measured and a little more docile is not the right word, but like, I have like kind of a fiery personality at times, and I can get riled up and I can get animated, and I don't have that sort of like calm, thoughtful quality that I've admired in a lot of people, where they're just, I don't know, just like a mildness, you know, like I feel like a lot of Canadians have that. They're kind of mild in temperament, and I don't have that. I'm more of a hothead, and
you're extra spicy. Yeah,
I'm extra spicy. And yeah, I don't wish that I wasn't like that, but I wish I had a little more of that sort of quality in me. But you said you have an answer to that for yourself. I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, no, my answer is, I have lots of people in my life, some of my best friends, these things, it shines out in them. And it's just like when people have some passion, something they're passionate towards. And so like I had a friend that he went into school, he majored in politics, he got his PhD in political science, and he went right into working as a government aide went into doing that work. And just like, there are people for whom they have that singular, like they know what it is. They've got passion for that thing, and that's the thing they're going to do, and they love it. And I have admired that so much in people, and it's something I really genuinely wish I had, because I enjoy a lot of things, but I'm not super passionate about anything.
Right.
Like, I just kind of like, I'm sort of like the jack of all trade kind of person, where it's like, I'm pretty good at a lot of stuff, and I kind of enjoy a lot of stuff, but there's nothing that like, I'm like, that's the thing. That's the thing that my life is about. And like when I see that in other people, I just admire the hell out of it. Like it just seems like something that would be so nice to have.
So I admire that too, but maybe some pushback on that is I found that, because I'm the same way like you, like I have a lot of interests. I know a lot about a lot of stuff. I'm not a specialist in any of it, but I found that people who are specialists, whether you're a doctor or a film director or something where you've just put your heart and soul into this thing, and that's, you live and breathe it and you succeed at it. And this is not true of everyone, obviously, but like I found that a lot of people like that, that's kind of what they know. And
Mhm.
they there's not a lot of, and I'm generalizing, I can't emphasize that enough, that there's not a lot of exploration otherwise. You know what I mean? Like I've done a lot of sort of spiritual work on myself. I've done a lot of introspection on myself. And I've done a lot of, I've spent a lot of time thinking of like subjects that I'm interested in. And I feel like you don't have time for that kind of introspection. And
Sure.
you definitely don't have time for other subjects if you're a specialist on this one thing. Now, maybe later on down the line where you're like, I have reached the peak of this profession or this subject that I'm interested in, it gives you a little time to kind of automate that and then like explore other things. But what, you're going to be 60 years old when you do that? You're going to be at retirement. You're going to be in your 40s when that happens, which great. I'm glad that happens, period. But I see what you're saying. And I agree. There's so much
Yeah.
value in that. And there's so much stability in that. But I also really, really value like the breadth of my knowledge and my understanding
Sure.
of myself and other people and other subjects because I've been a hot mess for my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I've always enjoyed being interested in a lot of things, but I definitely love that. Like, it definitely seems like it would be nice to have that rudder, that true north
Yeah.
that drives you forward. Where sometimes, even though I do like knowing a lot of things and being interested in a lot of things, I think you can feel rudderless and you can feel like, what am I even doing?
Right. Yeah.
So like or like you have a job, and because you don't have that passion, there's no job that I've found that's like, this is the thing, I'm going to keep doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that would just be really, really nice to have. I'd be very keen on that. Like, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't change about myself, but I think that's a really, I guess, I don't know if it's something that I'd say like, oh, I definitely want that. But I like seeing it in other people. It's really nice
Mhm.
when they have
Yeah.
that passion that just drives
Yeah.
them. And it's really lovely. Yeah. And the way to describe it, I've heard, it's from an old Irving Berlin poem. And then years later, obviously, Nate Silver, statistician, picked it up. And he talked about the hedgehog and the fox. And the hedgehog knows one great truth that defines his life, and the fox knows many little things. And I'm definitely more of a fox myself, but I like just kind of that symbolism. It's nice.
Well, we need those people to advance forward because
Yeah.
the rest of us are just like chasing butterflies. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we need those professionals with drive to get us to the next stop. Otherwise we're just a bunch of assholes, wandering around. But I think most of us are rudderless. But I guess
Yeah.
to continue that analogy, you have like, let's say you have this boat analogy. We're rudderless, right? We're going this direction, we're going that direction, but we're exploring. Whereas with a rudder, you're just going in one direction and maybe not seeing anything that you're passing by
Sure.
until you've reached your destination. Which again, we need those people, and I'm so happy they're around because they got us to the moon, they got us penicillin, they got us all these things, even literature, they got us there. But for all the rest of us, there's some exploration there. And I'm not shitting on your I wish I was, or I admire this group, but I agree with you. But I also,
Yeah.
there's value I think in just kind of being scattered as well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right, Skip, I'd like to know what your joys are this week.
My joys this week, I was having a little bit of a hard time at first coming up with this because I just kind of, I don't know, I blanked out the week. I couldn't remember a damn thing that had happened. And so it's going to be relatively localized. Taco Tuesday.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think making a regular date, me and my wife used to do what we'd called Thursday, where we'd go out to lunch when our cleaning lady came and we needed to be out of the house because she's a little kooky. And we'd have a date, but we've been having a hard time just kind of making that work for some reason. So like making a little date on Tuesday and can have yummy tacos is I think going to be something that happens more and more often. And I also reached out, and I'm going to have a gym buddy tomorrow, which is, new. I don't know what the hell we're going to do or if it's going to work, but it's a reach out, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is. That's good. How do you know this? It's a woman, yeah? How do you know her?
Yeah, it's a woman from the Derby team. And
right. Yeah.
She was saying she was looking for a workout partner, and if anybody was free in the middle of the day, and I was like, oh, that's me. Yeah.
Well, that's
So
good.
it's always good to have a workout partner because then it's so easy to let yourself down, but letting other people down for me is much harder.
That's kind of it. Yeah, you're showing up for that person because you'll be letting
Yeah.
them exactly that. You'll be letting them down otherwise. So yeah, that's a really good way to hold yourself accountable.
So what about you? What's your joys this week? I know they're numerous because you were already previewing that to me.
Well, so yeah, I'm gonna. There's a few of them, and I'll go rapid fire so I don't take up too much time. But the reason I've these past few episodes I've had so many is because I've started doing what you were doing before. I don't know if you're still doing it. Is writing them down. So throughout the week, I'm like, oh, that's a good joy. I have like an open note in my phone where I'll jot it down. So that's why I have so many. That's why lately I've had so many. So my first joy, and again, I'll do this as quickly as I can. I've been procrastinating. That's like the story of my life. But the freeing yourself of procrastination is a real joy. And I did that yesterday. I spent a lot of time. I have been spending a lot of time worrying about all the requirements that I need to do to get relicensed as a paramedic, which is coming up next month. I'm like, crap, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's been stressing me out. And the reason it's been stressing me out is because I haven't started. And yesterday I accumulated almost everything that I need. And actually, I think I've gotten everything I need. I just got to submit it all. And that's out of my mind now. I'm no longer stressed about meeting the requirement to get relicensed as a paramedic. So I've freed myself of this procrastinating thing that's been like a monkey on my back for a couple months now. Gone. One thing, the other joy is I saw this a few weeks ago, and I keep forgetting to tell you, I watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah.
I had never seen it before, and it delivered. I really, really, really enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it because there's a lot to unpack in it. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was really good, and the kind of thing that I hope that they remake one day. I don't know if they'll ever find another Tim Curry.
They did. They did it on TV. They did with Laverne Cox. I don't know if you know.
No. Oh yes.
Yeah, she's the trans lady. Yeah, they did it on TV. It was kind of wild, but I didn't watch that version because I wasn't in the US. It was 2016. So
okay.
But yeah, I mean Tim Curry is just
brilliant.
He's
man.
unbeatable. He's so great.
Absolutely amazing. He was the devil in Legend, and he was the clown in It.
Yeah.
Now, this is the last performance of his that I'm like completely floored by, where he plays this. I guess transsexual was the term they were using at the time. From Transylvania, the planet
transvestite, transsexual from Transylvania.
Yeah, yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Yeah. So yeah, and I like the music in it. It was just good. Meatloaf was in it. I had no idea.
Yeah. No, I gotta butt in here for a second. So when I was walking across the country, I had the Rocky Horror Picture Show on my MP3 player, and I would just be walking down the street belting out that. So like I remember I was wearing like a straw cowboy hat and like short shorts and a t-shirt pushing my stroller, and I was just like, I'm sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. And I remember at one point looking over, and there's just a crew of construction workers just looking at me dumbfounded.
That is so funny.
And I was just like, you're like, well, yeah, I'm going to own this. I was having fun singing that song. It's a great song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You reminded me though, there's one more likeness of ours is I too had a straw. It wasn't a cowboy hat, but it was a straw hat, like a big hat. Yeah. And when I was hitchhiking around as a lad, I wasn't around construction. I was definitely between cities when I was doing this, but also singing at the top of my lungs with nobody around for miles and miles and miles, and nothing but the wind carrying away my voice. And singing a lot and loudly, and that's great. It's nice to do that outside.
It's a great feeling, and that's just kind of the uniform for us vagabond U.S. travelers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so, or at least our kind, anyway. Another quick joy is I wrote like a paragraph, but I started a short story of like my paramedical sort of adventures. And I haven't written for years now. At this point, it's been a long time, so it's pretty rough. I'm out of practice, but one of the short stories I'm doing, this one is in first person, so it's probably the easiest way to start or to get back into it. So that's one joy. I've started doing that. I've got a whole list of short story ideas that I've been jotting down in another open note. I started with a simple first person short story, and lastly was this morning. I'll add the link to the show notes as well. I read an article in the CBC about. I'll just give you the headline. It says Alabamian. I didn't know that's how you said it. Alabamian, who mistakenly ordered from a Nova Scotia burger joint, sends cash and apology by mail. And I'll just quickly read the note. It was just it was a really, really uplifting thing to see. The note says, and there's a picture of the note in the article with two $20 bills, US dollar bills. It says, to whom it may concern, let me zip in here because it's pretty far away. It says, to whom it may concern, I placed a call-in order for 2 single burgers and 2 fries on 10/1/25. I was unable to pick up food because I live in the USA. Obviously, I called the wrong restaurant. I hope that the amount enclosed is enough to cover the cost of my embarrassing mistake. My sincere apologies. God bless. And then I'm assuming he signed off. So this started like this went on Facebook when they received it. It was like a small, not even a chain. It was just a small restaurant. And it more than covered the burgers because they made the order and it sat for an hour and they were like, okay, if nobody's coming. So they gave it to another thing, but they lost money on it. And this person sent them money. And and so they in return, they sent to the return address a snapshot of all like the Facebook well wishes and like thank yous from like people that were inspired and felt good about it. And they sent this person some spices from their restaurant and just like a thank you note for that. So it was just really, really nice. For all the ugliness, especially between Canada and the US right now, it was a really, really uplifting and joyful article that I read. So yeah, if you want to see something uplifting, that's it.
Well, that's a really lovely story about people acting nicely and the way they should. And if our listeners want to act nicely or the way that they should, they can join our Movember team if they want to and donate to Movember. And our link will be in the show notes as well.
Solid plug.
Yeah, I know. Hey, look at that. We know we did a thing. Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com. You can reach us at Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend and give us a 5-star review. We hope you'll come back.
Goodbye.
Ciao.